Hey everybody, it's Big Pimpin' 504, and I was reading this article in Cointelegraph about the IMF is calling for increased regulations for Africa's crypto markets. And they want to use this FTX situation as justification in order to increase regulations. Now, this FTX situation was designed to impose regulations on the crypto market. Why? Because it's freeing too many people. They see the growth potential, the wealth potential that presents, and they want to cut it off. Just be real, they want to cut it off. So they're using FTX and making it as a Lehman Brothers situation to where they can justify imposing more regulations against the cryptocurrency market. Now, just to give you a brief summary. The whole thing with the so-called financial crisis of 2008, which, by the way, was predicted as early as October 2005 by this guy named Dietrich Muhammad. But that's go for a long story. But even in his report that he wrote, he even said like this. He gave the reasons why we was going to have the credit crunch and liquidity crunch, and it had nothing to do with subprime mortgages. But that whole situation was used to justify imposing regulations that will take out the entire independent community banking industry, which it did. And those who survived the financial crisis with some liquidity was brought down with the SCAP, or the stress test. SCAP stands for Supervisory Capitalization Assessment Program, to where they will use imaginary scenarios to take out actual real banks that survived the so-called credit crunch or so-called financial crisis of 2008 with some liquidity. And then they went further by implementing the invoker rule, as well as implementing these other regulations in order to take out the remaining banks there, to where the majors were able to get bailed out while the smaller players were taken out. And that was the purpose to do that. Now, I want to go ahead and jump into another tangent. That's the story for another day. But the point is, regulations are used to take out as well as to keep out competition. Plain and simple, just like taxes. When you have new taxes, the taxes were created by those who came up before the taxes came to existence, and decided to impose these taxes so they won't have no new competition, or at least minimize the amount of competition. That's what it's all about. So the IMF are calling for African governments to increase regulation over the growing cryptocurrency market in Africa. African governments, do not be stupid. You already know how the IMF is. You saw them with the structural adjustment programs and how they affected your countries. In fact, if the IMF is telling you to do something, it'll be in your best interest to not do it. Plain and simple. They see the growth of the crypto market going on in Africa. It's building up millionaires in Africa. Okay? So no, they don't want you to grow. So you should tune out what the IMF is telling you or suggesting to you or calling for you for regulations. Now, I'm not saying regulations are bad. No. I'm just saying these are tools that are used to stomp out growth, especially when it comes to the indigenous people in those countries. Now, let's learn lessons from history. We've seen the structural adjustment programs. We've seen the devastation that they caused in Africa. We've seen the devastation and the poverty it caused. Okay, now you have cryptocurrency market, which is budding and growing fast. Why is it growing fast? Because it's creating wealth. It's creating wealth. Now, in this report, it says that, I'm going to quote the Cointelegraph. Among the reasons why countries in the region should embrace regulation, the Monetary Fund cited the collapse of FTX and its ripple effect in cryptocurrency prices, which is quote-unquote prompting renewed calls for greater consumer protection and regulation of the crypto industry. Come on. Now, we know that, yes, there are some scammers. This is true. This is true. There are scammers. But you can't punish the entire industry over a few scammers. Now, as far as a risk from crypto assets, yes, there's always going to be risk. Okay, no matter what investment you deal with, there's going to be risk. That's the whole point of investing. You risk whatever you earned in order to gain, and then they try to punish you with those gains with capital gains taxes and other type of taxes. So anyway, what I'm suggesting to Africa is do not listen to your enemy, the IMF. They've been your enemy for years. They're still your enemy today. They've never been good. They'll lend you money, but then you have to stifle your own growth, what makes no sense, especially when the truth is, and you're starting to wake up to that your growth potential is due to your local resources and your local processing of those resources that will benefit your economy, your people, your government. Okay? So, with that being said, they want to talk also about this, and this is something that I really want to jump into and dive into real fast. This is another quote from the publication from the IMF. Policymakers are also worried that cryptocurrencies can be used to transfer funds illegally out of the region and to circumvent local rules to prevent capital outflows. Widespread use of crypto could also undermine the effectiveness of monetary policy, creating risk for financial and macroeconomic stability. All right. Sanctions undermine the effectiveness of monetary policy, creating risk for financial and macroeconomic stability. Here's another thing. Like, let's just take, for example, the biggest money launderers are banks, the bigger banks. These are the greatest money launderers in the history of the fucking world, okay? Excuse my passion, but they're the biggest money launderers in the whole world, okay? I've been in some of these deals. They will go ahead and collapse a currency, make it of no value to the local government, to the local economy, to the local people. Then go around and take that same collapsed currency and give it way more value than it did when it was a currency. For example, let's take the Zimbabwean dollar. It was crashed in 2008, right? Due to hyperinflation, which, by the way, could have been avoided. But hey, it happened. Sanctions occurred. You also had people that was hoarding goods and products, which also added to the inflation, okay? To where the Zimbabwean dollar was not even worth a roll of tissue paper, okay? But today, those same Zimbabwean dollars, okay, can be sold at hundreds of millions of dollars at a time in bulk by wealthy people to transfer funds through these same banks legally. Legal money laundering. So don't tell me about transferring funds illegally. All right? So don't fall for the okie doke, Africa. You already messed up when you allowed these people, not what I wanted to say, but you allowed these people to come in and destroy your future by destroying Libya, by destroying the plan where you could have been the world economic superpower, but decided to take the position of a slave. I'm talking about the gold dinar. You had an opportunity, you lost it. You have another opportunity with these cryptocurrencies. So don't lose it. Don't listen to what the IMF is telling you. In fact, what they tell you, do the opposite. You'll be much more successful. I promise you. I promise you. So, and again, excuse my passion, but I'm part of this game. I'm in this. I know what I'm fucking talking about. So, I'm passionate about it. I've seen the things I'm talking to you about happen in real time. Okay? So, these Western governments are looking to stop you and stop your growth, your potential wealth growth potential with the cryptocurrency market so that they can make way for their own central bank digital currencies. Okay? They want to move all the competition globally so they can impose their central bank digital currencies. Okay? Case in point, J.P. Morgan. They just won the trademarks and patents for their own wallet, their own digital wallet to accept and exchange Bitcoin, as well as provide other financial services. This is from the same J.P. Morgan. Okay, Jamie Dimon said he don't want to be bothered with Bitcoin. He said it's a scam, all that stuff, and yet here he is, telling you not to get into it, telling you not to invest in it, telling you it's a scam, but yet going after it, going with it, facilitating services through it. Same with the U.S. government, same with all these other Western governments. They told you that cryptocurrency is a scam and it's nothing good come out of it, yet they trying to create their own central bank digital currencies. In fact, the Federal Reserve just finished on their program to try the cross payments of central bank digital currencies. So they tell you get out of crypto, don't invest in crypto, it's a scam, so they can create their own crypto. It's about dominating the damn market. Okay? Right now, Africa, you would do better if you just look to yourselves. You have all these geniuses in the cryptocurrency space all throughout Africa. You already have the CFTC. You already have the CFTC, the Continental Free Trade Agreement. You can go ahead and focus on your own development of cryptocurrencies within your own markets the way you want it done. The IMF can kiss your ass. It's time for you to dominate, not be a part of this game, dominate it. It's time for you to come up. So to do that, it's best not to take advice of your enemies, the one that gave you the structural adjustment programs, the ones that's imposing sanctions on you every single turn, the ones who mad because you had a fucking opinion about Ukraine. You say you want to be involved, now you're trying to punish you for it. Same people. So, I would suggest you tell them, kiss my ass, and develop your own markets the way you see fit, to integrate it amongst intra-African countries and go to hell with the IMF and the West. Now, I'm going to go further into this report. Okay? So, the IMF, they want to use FTX as a reason for more consumer protection. You don't give a fuck about the consumer. I'm just going to be honest with you. Pardon my language, I got to get off my chest. I got to say it the way it is, okay? They don't give a fuck about protecting the consumer. They try to rape the consumer every single chance they get. So they're not a credible source to listen to. They're not. Develop your cryptocurrency markets the way you see fit, because you can do better than everybody. You can do way better than everybody else. I'm just being honest. Africa has a great potential because not only do you have all these geniuses within the continent of Africa, you also have resources, natural resources that you can use for the development of those industries within Africa. One thing that I say often is you need to stop selling your resources wholesale and purchasing products, finished products, retail. Stop it. Okay? You say you have the CFTC. Okay, fine. We got that. But make sure it's the indigenous businesses, the indigenous companies that are benefiting, and not all these foreign companies within the borders that are benefiting. Make sure we get that clear. Because that's the one thing I'm tired of. Like, oh yeah, Africa can trade amongst themselves, but you got all these poor Africans that don't have the finances to open up their companies like they could, or expand their companies like they could within Africa, but you got all these foreigners in your countries that claim your country, claim your nationality, and yet at the same time benefit more than indigenous people in your country. Makes no damn sense. So make sure you develop your cryptocurrency market where the indigenous people, who are the geniuses behind this thing anyway, benefit from it. Make it favorable to yourselves and make it less favorable to others. Plain and simple, just like everybody else do. You go to China, they showed us during COVID. They made conditions unfavorable for Africans who was in China at the time. It made it very agreeable to themselves at that time. Okay? This is how it always worked. This is how it always worked. Come to America. If you're African American or Latino, you have a harder time getting loans than whites, Indians, Chinese, and everybody else. Why? They made it favorable for them and less favorable for you. So do the same damn thing. That's all I'm saying. But do it for your benefit of you and your people, where y'all can experience the growth. Y'all can experience all of the benefits of those markets and make regulations and policies favorable to yourselves and less favorable to others. That way you'll be able to benefit more from your work, your research, your resources, your wealth, your energy, your people, your taxes. You benefit from that. So I said all that to say this. Tell the IMF, kiss your ass. Plain and simple. Develop your cryptocurrency markets the way you see fit that will benefit you. Nobody else, you. Okay? Because all these, like the situation, we already seen it with the environmental situation. They tell Africa not to develop coal. They should stop developing coal because of carbon emissions. But now, since they have no access to electricity and energy from Russia, oh, now it's okay. But you stop developing coal for yourself, but we want to purchase your coal. Your coal is good for us. It's not good for you, but it's good for us. No, stop that. Stop that BS. For real. Okay? Develop your shit for you. Plain and simple. Okay? Like Ethiopia is doing. They have the Great Renaissance Dam project. Everybody and mama trying to shut this shit down. Why? Why? You didn't pay for it. They paid for it. They did it in their country. They didn't impose it in nobody else's country, but you want to shut it down. You want to use the whole Tigray situation to go ahead and have a quote-unquote accident where they go and shoot missiles at the damn dam. That can go ahead, yeah, I said damn dam, where they can go ahead and destroy that, something that's going to generate energy for them at no cost, or shall I say less cost, to them than it would from having to purchase it from outside themselves when they can develop it themselves. No, those days are over. Those days are over. Africa, all 54 y'all, or 55 of y'all, develop your cryptocurrency market the way you see fit. And that's it. That's it. The way you see fit. And if the IMF, the BIS, the US, Europe have any issues with it, tell them to piss off and develop your own shit. In fact, I will go even further. Yeah, I'm saying I will go even further. If they have a problem with you developing your own market, sanction they asses. Tell them no more. You can't have access to my uranium. You can't have access to my oil. You can't have access to my diamonds or my gold. We'll develop the shit ourselves for us. We don't even sell to you no more. Sanction them. If they have a problem with what you're doing for you. And that's all I got to say about it. Keep it pimping.